Welcome to Real Estate Real World, where we talk to the movers, shakers, and leaders that are getting it done right now in the real estate industry and beyond. Your host, Marguerite Crespillo, started this podcast simply dedicated to call people about what's really happening in this crazy roller coaster ride of real estate. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes and stay up to date on the newest stuff by adding yourself to the list at www.realestaterealworld.com. Now your host, Marguerite Crespillo.
Hey there, it's Marguerite Crespillo. How are all of you on this amazing day? We are recording in Northern California right now where it is 108 degrees. So I'm inside in nice, cool air conditioning, and I'm excited about today's guest. My friend, Andre LaFountain, I have met over the last couple of years while working with EXP, and we are both part of the influencers group here at EXP. And we always just try to provide value and content and information to anybody with any company, whether you're with EXP or not. But what we do is we spend some time here on Real Estate Real World talking to cool people that are the movers and shakers in the industry. And Andre is without a doubt one of those. So let me tell you his brief background. Andre LaFountain is a seasoned real estate professional with 32 years of experience. He's got a couple of years on me. He joined EXP in February of 2019 and currently helps over 1,000 business partners across various locations. He resides in Florida, is married, has 2 sons, and is actively involved in his local church and supporting ministries. Andre is enthusiastic about assisting real estate agents in achieving success in their business and lives. So thank you very much for joining us today, Andre.
Hi, Marguerite. It's great to be here.
To be here. It's funny, I was thinking back to when we first really connected is when my onboarding specialist, Kiera, created the AIM group, right? Alpha in the Making, and which is an influencer title at EXP. So if you're not with EXP, it won't make any sense. And you were very involved in that group. And the goal of that group was to help agents get to over 1,000 EXP agents in their organization. And you have now accomplished that goal. So congratulations, my friend.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's been a fun journey. I remember when Hank started that group.
Exactly.
And I had just made the beta group you had to have 200 people, and I almost didn't join because I'm like, these guys are way over my head. But I pushed myself because I knew if you're uncomfortable, that's where the growth comes. And that was really the first step to really start pushing myself forward to getting that Trello system up and running, and with your help. And it's been a very useful tool for sure with having the amount of people we have now.
And a lot of us use Trello, which if you are, again, with any company not familiar with Trello, it's really a fantastic program to help you create checklists and systems and processes. We also use Trello on our team for our transaction management and tracking our transactions. So we've used Trello for a lot of different things. It's a pretty awesome program.
Yeah, it's been really helpful with all the onboarding and everything that we're doing for our partners.
Yeah, it's amazing. And so you've been in real estate for 32 years. It'll be 30 years for me in December. So what got you into real estate to begin with? How did that happen?
Out of high school, I knew I didn't really want to go to college. I didn't really love school. So I actually, out of school, bought a small restaurant business actually, and ran that. I was like 18. Everyone that worked for me was a lot older. I ran that for 3 years, but bought myself a job. I was working from 4 in the morning making donuts until 10 o'clock at night, serving ice cream in the ice cream parlor. And I always thought about getting into real estate. I actually sold my restaurant business and actually sold it for 3 times what we paid for it. So I said, this could be a good thing. And got my real estate license when I was 22. And being so young, I knew it was going to take a minute to get my business really up and running. So I actually, the same month, April of 91, I got my real estate license and got hired at a pharmaceutical plant, the same blue collar job that my mom and my father-in-law all retired from. And I actually worked on the night shift from 4 in the afternoon till to midnight at that blue collar position, pharmaceutical position. but I could sell real estate all day. So I got in the office at 9 o'clock in the morning until 4 o'clock and ran and drove over to the plant that was literally a mile away and just was pretty active. Did that for 9 years actually.
Wow.
Yeah, and then in 1998, it took me like 7 years to get from 0 to 40 units by myself with no help. And then in 98, we hired a real estate coach, a high level real estate coach. And within 2 years of doing half of what they told me to do, I went from 40 transactions to 79 to 109. And then it was time to finally leave the plant and opened up an office with my business partner, and I never looked back.
Who was your coach at that time? Are they still around?
Oh yeah, it was Craig Proctor.
Oh yeah, I remember him. I was coached by I was coached by Joe Stump back in the day. I
Right.
don't know if you remember him from by referral only. He's still around doing
Yeah.
some stuff, but I was part of their mastery program. And I just think coaching is so valuable and I think it's underrated. A lot of agents don't want to either spend the money or I'm not always sure what it is, but I'll tell you what, the two things that were game changers for my career were having a coach and attending events.
Absolutely.
That's where I built a lot of relationships that I still have today.
Yeah, absolutely. It's when we got in coaching, like I said, it took me 7 years to get from 0 to 40, but 1 year with the coach to double and continue and growing. So yeah, it makes a huge difference. In the events as well, that's where all the relationships are, and you become friends with a lot of those people that you continue helping you grow your business.
Without a doubt, because for me, 22 of my 30-year career, I was an independent broker. My husband and I owned a brokerage.
Right.
And so I wasn't part of a big brand or anything like that. And so for me to get out there and connect with people and meet people and find ways to come up with new and better ways to do things, I had to get out of my backyard. And so going to events was like the, the game changer for me. So where were you working at before EXP? Did you have your own brokerage or were you with a big name brand or?
My very first year was Century 21 for a year, and then I ended up started work with became my business partner. He was my broker at first. He recruited me basically because I used to travel like 30 miles to go to my Century 21 office, and I could go like 7 miles to his office, and it just made sense to work a lot closer to home. I worked it was just an independent. And then we ended up turning that independent into Better Homes and Gardens. We bought a Better Homes Garden franchise for a few years, but it was good. But then we got into the coaching with Proctor and just went independent then. And we had the independent, and he's still running that company today. But I ended up leaving. I still have ties to the company, but I ended up moving to Atlanta, Georgia in 2009 because the real estate coaching company that helped us grow our business offered me a position to work with them and help them grow their coaching business. They had about 100 platinum members that are paying between around 20 grand a year basically to be in that higher level group. And then they had a higher group above that. And I was part of that. And when they asked me to come help them grow that company, it was just my opportunity to get the cold weather and the high taxes in New York and move south sooner than I thought. So my partner took over the team. He's still running the company, and I helped them grow to about 498, almost 500 members. I actually plan on retiring from that company, but they made some changes and affected what they had really agreed on originally. So the good Lord told me I should get back into real estate. That's all I've ever done, and got my real estate license. Never really heard about EXP. To be honest with you, I think maybe a little bit of heard it once or twice, but no one ever called me. But I asked my wife, who used to be a broker of a company as well, that had about 150 agents in it in Georgia, and I said, who do you know that loves people and loves Christ and wouldn't change a deal on me if I worked for them on their team? And she gave me the name of Levi McDonald. I only met him once at a Christmas party and called him up. Didn't even know that he joined EXP. I knew he had his own little team, like 5-8 agents, and I thought I could be on his team. I'm really strong with listings. As long as we have some administrative people, do that for 10 years and call it a day. And I met with him and Dan Hilsman, and they sent the Brent Go video to me before meeting with them. And that was interesting, but okay, I don't know what this is, but I'll meet with them. And met with them, and they showed me the EXP world. And in 5 minutes, I'm talking to a broker, I talked to accounting, I'm like, this is going to change the whole real estate industry. If we can talk to the people that make decisions within minutes and not have to get out of our car, how much more business could we do if we were that efficient? And I knew right after that meeting it was going to be a game changer. I didn't even have my real estate license yet because I let my New York license go. I had to get my license in Georgia and then join. So I was, to answer your question, I was a real estate coach for 9 years, and then decided to get back into the game at 40. I think it was 48 or 49 years old, starting over again.
I just saw Levi speak at the Build event, and
All right.
he's fantastic. An inspiration. What an amazing guy. Yeah. I had actually seen him a few times, but had never met him in person. So it was such a joy to hear him speak. And I got to meet his wife and kids, and what a great guy.
Yeah, I call him my brother from another mother.
Most definitely. He is a great guy. And so, how have things changed for you since 2019? Like, how different does your life look now than it did then?
Oh, it's been pretty amazing, to be honest with you. Because I was starting over again in real estate, because I was a coach for 9 years, I hadn't sold anything in not at that amount of time because my business was all in New York. So I knew it was going to take a minute again to get my real estate business going from scratch. So I actually I called up a friend in Tennessee that had a real estate company, had about 25 agents and two inside sales agents. And I said, hey, let me be one of your inside sales agents. Give me a small salary. I'll call a bunch of your leads and help you grow your ISA team and give me a chance to get my real estate business up and running again. It was good for him. It was good for me. So I did that for about 6 months. So I was working from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. And on the weekend and evening, I'd call real estate agents that I knew to share the EXP opportunity. And I could only send videos because I didn't have time to do Zooms or anything. And in that 6 months, I was calling my senior business partners, Jake Kinder, Al Stasic, and Michael Race to do three-way calls to answer questions because I didn't know what I was doing. I'm just intriguing my friends to take a look. And after doing that for 6 months, Jay and Al said, geez, you're pretty good at this. You got to be our ISA. So they actually offered me a position to work for them as their ISA, gave me a raise of what I was making for my friends. And I said it was just a good alignment. I started working with them, again, working from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., calling their leads to help them grow their EXP organization. But within a half a year working for my friend and then a year working for Jay and Al, I was earning $10,000 a month in revenue share within 18 months. And that was the goal. I told the guys, once I can get to 10 to 15,000 a month, that's enough for me to go on my own. And so I gave them notice, and it took them 2 or 3 months for them to find someone to replace me. I trained that new guy, Nick, and even by then I was making 15,000 a month. And so basically 2 complete years of working full time for someone else and part time for myself, built a nice passive income. And in the last 2 years, that's more than doubled. And we're doing life has changed a lot because the passive income is pretty life changing and you can live anywhere. So like we moved, the market was when we bought our house in Atlanta, it was 09, great time to buy, right? And we decided, well, the kids are gone. We need to downsize. Let's go ahead and sell when the market's high. And we sold in September of last year. Perfect timing again. And we decided let's move to Florida because we want to get 12 months of warm weather instead of just 8 or 10. So that's been life changing as well because we've been able to move to Florida. That was our ultimate goal. And just recently we bought a property, a nice lakeview property in Punta Gorda, Florida, and we're actually building a new house, our forever home, in Punta Gorda.
Congratulations. How exciting is that?
Yeah, it's pretty fun. They just broke ground a few weeks ago. My wife and I had our first house built when we first got married, and didn't know if I would do it again. It was good. It's just more expensive to build new than it is to buy. Now we can do it, so we said, why not?
So one of the things that we hear a lot is that EXP is all about recruiting, right? That people aren't really producing, and there's that. And I understand that you being a coach for 9 years, how do you respond to that, and how do you help your organization with production?
Well, 88% of the company in EXP don't recruit anyone at all. They join for the low caps, for the health insurance, for the revenue share, for the ownership. They can do the same exact thing that they did at the other company, but actually have an ownership stake. So that's huge. So being a coach, we help our agents. We help our agents build funnels, lead funnels, start helping them get leads right away. And with our coaching background, we help them in any way they can. We find out what their goals are. If it's go from 10 to 20 deals a year, or from 20 to 40, or maybe they got a team and they're doing 100 and want to get to 300. We've been there and can help people do that because the financial relationship that EXP's model gives us. We don't have to charge anyone a dime, but we give them everything that we got to help them grow. Now, the small percentage of agents that do want to agent attract and build their team, it's totally separate from production. So they can do just production, they can do just agent attraction, or they can do both. You get compensated for the amount of time and effort that you put into your business, no matter what you enjoy doing. I've been in the field. My partner and I were doing 300 units a year for a lot of years. And come January 1st, you had to start all over again. I remember my goal was just to get to 100,000 in income, then get to 200 and get to 300, or to get to 50 units, get to 100 units. And we hit those milestones, but you just had to do it over again. And there wasn't any end in sight. So when I saw the EXP model, I did see pretty quickly how we could grow a passive income at the same time. So we could turn that transactional treadmill dial from 10 down to maybe 5 or 6 and still be able to have a good income. So I help my agents do both. Whatever their goal is my goal, right? I have some part-time agents, sell 2, 3 houses a year, and that's all they want to do. Great. We're going to support them and help them do that. I have some leaders that want to grow from a team of 10 in their office to 40 and have hundreds in their organization. We've been able to help them do that. So our goal is their goal.
So, what is your thoughts on the current market? I'm not sure how things are in Florida, but here in California, we're seeing it's really a roller coaster ride right now because we don't have inventory, but we have high interest rates. And so what is your response to a lot of these agents right now are struggling? Would you not agree?
Yeah, a lot of them are. There's a lot of agents getting out of the business. We've gone through what, three or four corrections over the last 30 years. A lot of agents just got to get back to basics, calling your sphere and your referrals and shaking the trees. And the thing, that's just it. With when the market goes up and down, a lot of agents that are in part time or just aren't doing a lot of sales, they'll end up exiting. But the agents like us that have been here forever, we're going to continue to survive because we don't know anything else. We're just going to push forward, and there'll be other business that the agents that they would have sold their mom or their cousin or a friend a house. They're not in business anymore. So we're going to get that business that we would have gotten wouldn't have gotten if they were in the business, right?
Right.
But I just tell people to continue doing the basics, and you're going to push through. People are going to get married. People are going to have kids. People are going to die. People are going to get divorced. There's still business going to be done. It's just who's going to get the business. And the agents that have been around and are willing to do what it takes will push forward.
You know, my favorite quote or line of all time, I don't know where it came from, but great agents do well in any market, right?
Yeah.
Meaning that agents who continue to do the work, continue to do the follow up, continue to do the follow through are going to survive. They're going to survive this market and many different markets that are still to come. Because, like, I got into real estate in 93, then our market completely changed in 2005 when the REO crisis hit.
Yeah.
Then it changed again in 2014 when, for the most part, REOs went away.
Mm-hmm.
And now, it's changing again. So you just have to be able to adapt with it. So, what are you coaching your agents to? How are you coaching them to adapt and adjust to this current market?
The main thing is to get, like I said, get back to the basics. Start calling your relations, cultivating your relationships, and find out who's available or who's interested in doing business right now. Before, when it was easy because everybody was buying and you had the multiple offers, that was another challenge, right? Because with all the multiple offers, but we coached agents how to put in really good offers and how to be able to win a lot of those offers when the market was that way. And now it's coming the other direction. It's just a matter of continuing to follow up with your relationships, because people are going to do business with people that they know and trust. And the more that you're out there on networking groups, just caring for the people that you're in relationships with, they're going to provide you business and give you the referrals. And that's where a lot of business is going to come from, is from referrals at this time. Those are the agents that are going to get the most amount of business. Another thing is affiliates. We tell people, have strong conversations with your affiliates, with the painters and the people that, when you clean out a house and you got to bring the garbage, whatever you call that, dumpsters, all the people that have anything to do with the whole real estate industry, they usually know when someone's getting their house ready to sell before we do. And if you have strong affiliate relationships and you can give referrals back and forth and get a lot of business that way too.
What would you say has been the key to your success over the last few years?
Consistency. That's the number one word that I always use, is consistency, of continuing to do the work. When I was prospecting for sale by owners and expireds, or if I wanted more listings or buyers, whatever it was, it's all about prospecting. I remember I normally have at least 50 prospecting calls to do on a daily basis when I was going after buyers and sellers. And I could have 3 closings in a day. And even though that was great, I didn't really feel satisfied that my job was done for my day, until my calls are done. So I could, even if I made the 50 calls in a day and didn't get any appointments or didn't have anything specific come out of that, I knew if I did the calls at the end of the month, at the end of the year, I would always hit my goals. The consistency of making your calls is key, no matter if you're trying to grow your EXP organization and you're talking to real estate agents, or you're trying to grow your buyers and sales. It's all about the numbers of being consistent and talking to people.
I love that, because one of the things that I teach nonstop in all my training programs is that numbers don't lie. They give you direction and they tell you the truth. They tell you where to go. If you're not doing the amount of business you want, are you making enough calls, right? Are you connecting and talking to enough people? And I just had this conversation yesterday with one of my coaching students, and she was saying, I want to close 6 deals a month. And I said, well, you're not doing anywhere near the work that it would require to do 6 deals a month. Because what we figured out is was making on average 82 calls a week. She had gotten 8 leads, but had only converted 2 of those leads. So you got to, 5 times that, 6 times that to make that.
Yeah.
So I said, are you willing to make the 500 to 600 calls a week? She goes, that's a lot of calls. I said, right now, based on your statistics, that's what you're going to need to do in order to close 6 transactions a month, right? And
make a lot more calls or get your conversion rates up.
That too. We talked about that. I'm like, okay, so your decisions are make more calls or learn how to convert better. So you're exactly dead on with that. And if you just track your numbers and you just do the consistent work, it will happen. But it's amazing how many agents either don't want to do the work, or they don't want to track it, or they get lackadaisical about things. And I'm always amazed by that.
You got to run it. You're running a business, and you got to run it like a business and know your numbers and know I was in upstate New York by the Canadian-Vermont border. So in December, my goal was to have 2 closings. And that was okay because I took a lot of time off in October, November, December. In July and August, we have 8 or 9 closings. Just personally, if you're doing your consistent calls, and I would still be making all the calls in the wintertime too, because you're talking to those 50 people a day, or making those 50 calls a day, whatever it is, so you can keep the pipeline full and you're nurturing those relationships. I remember calling a guy, I think it was a for sale by owner, for 7 years.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he just wasn't, not that he was trying to sell his house for 7 years, but he took it on and off. But I followed up with him for 7 years, and it was only like 3 calls a year for 5 minutes, right? Because I knew at some point he needed to sell. And because of that consistency and persistence, I ended up getting that listing. But I ended up getting his mom's house for sale and some income properties that he had, and his sister. Wow. And it grew into a whole lot of business. But the average person wouldn't call somebody for 7 years. But
No, the
that's just
average
me.
agent calls like once, maybe twice, right? And I've seen where it's, the statistics are that you need to call them at least 8 to 10 times. When people say, how many times do I call them? I go, you call them until they tell you not to call them anymore. Right?
Yeah, that's just right. And even then, I still might follow up with them, not about real estate, but just follow up with them, see how they're doing, 6, 12 months down the road because things change.
Exactly. So, one of my favorite questions is there's a guy named Frank Kern. I don't know if you've ever heard of him or followed him, but
Mhm.
he's a direct response master. And he talks about how to design your life, but we start designing your life by what does your perfect average day look like? Not if you hit the lotto, you're going to go out and, spend a bunch of money, but once you get past that, you're going to have just an average day. So if
Mhm.
money is no object, what does your perfect average day look like?
My perfect day right now, and maybe it'll look like a little different a few years from now. I get up at 5 a.m. I spend 30 minutes to an hour just quiet time reading in the Bible, and then go to the gym. I leave about 6, and my wife and I go to the gym 3 to 4 times a week until 7:30, and then come home, eat, and get ready. And I'm on my computer at 8:45, talking to my VAs for 15, 20 minutes, getting them ready to go. And then whatever my appointments are as far as helping my teams grow, I'll have 2 or 3 Zooms a day, usually with some of my business partners that need help. I'm normally on a couple of influencer calls a week for sure, learning more. And then the rest of the time, I'm making my phone calls, trying to continue to grow our business. And I normally, like tonight, Friday is a perfect example. We'll get done between 5 and 6, probably 6 tonight because I got a 5:30 appointment that was scheduled, and then it's date night with my wife to go somewheres for dinner and work on our relationship. Saturday, I normally take off and just not do a whole lot, just hang out, go for a walk, go swimming, and we'll probably take a ride up to go see how they're doing on the building of our new house. That's what it looks like today. In the future, who knows? We love to travel, so I'm sure we'll start doing a lot more traveling when we can because with this business, as long as you have internet and phone, you can continue supporting your team members and your partners no matter where you are.
I love that. And what I love too is that here you are 32 years later and you're still doing many of the things that you did 32 years ago, right? Because that's how business is. And that's the beauty of it. Now you have more time and financial freedom to do things that you want to do more.
Now, I enjoy what we're doing, and it's not just at some point. Yeah, you're going to make enough income to do whatever it is that you want. We do a lot of charity work and try to donate a lot to different charities that are close to our heart. And there's a lot of people that need. So I think the more you earn, the more that you can give, and we're looking forward to continuing to do that.
Thank you so much for joining us today. It's always a pleasure to talk to you and always a pleasure to see you on the influencers call. Excited to see you there. Although you're leaving our group, now you're alpha, so you won't be beta anymore.
Yeah, I'm still on both calls. I'm getting on both calls because they're both really different and a lot of value in both. I will definitely continue. I'm actually in the hot seat in the beta group this week.
That the beta group is better than the alpha group. That's just my opinion, but
Yeah, they're both really good. They talk about a lot of in beta. We're still growing. We're still figuring things out to continue to grow and being brand new to the higher alpha group. There, a lot of them have really grown. So there's just different challenges and different things to talk about. So it's really interesting. I'm still in the growing phase. I only have 1,000 compared to people who have 5 and 10 times that.
that's
So
crazy.
we still have a lot to grow. There's a lot of growth. This company is just starting.
Exactly.
The last thing I want to mention before we jump off is it's the other thing is we're really changing people's lives, Marguerite. That's what gets me really motivated to put the time in and keep calling people because we literally have changed a lot of people's lives. Pierre Nadeau was an independent broker owner in Canada. He was my first Canadian that I called that joined us, and he had his own independent broker with 13 agents. And 4 years later, it's been 4 years. He now has, I think, 40 people in his office and about 600, I think, in his entire organization. and he was working 80 hours a week when I called him, 80 hours a week. And his team of 13 sold about 200 some homes, but he personally sold 125 of them himself because he was a broker owner and he's pushing to need his income to keep everything really growing. And he had his best year ever when I called him. But because of the XP model and him coming over and building, he's been able to go from 80 hours a week to about 30 to 35 hours a week. And he played golf 3 times a week this past year, and bought a home in Arizona where he wintered and ran his team from Arizona. His net income. His wife told me and my wife one day that in sharing the opportunity because she got her husband back. And we hear stories like that all the time.
There's hundreds and hundreds of stories, and that's part of what we're starting to record as well as those stories of how things have changed for people. It's been a game changer for me and my family for sure. And there's hundreds and hundreds of stories like this. So thank you for sharing that story. And thank you for sharing your time and stories with us today. I'm super grateful to be able to spend some.
That's my pleasure, Marguerite. Nice talking with you. And I'm sure we'll see you at one of the next live events and the next influencer call.
Absolutely. I'll see you then.
All
All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today on another fabulous episode of Real Estate Real World, where we get to talk to all the cool people. Be sure to follow us on all the social channels. We're on social media. And we'll be posting those links below in the show notes, as well as information on how to get a hold of Andre if you would like to. So thank you again for joining us today. I hope you stay cool in this crazy weather and make it an amazing day. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you for joining us today on Real Estate Real World, where we talk with masters and leaders in real estate and beyond on how we can raise the bar in our industry. Please subscribe over on iTunes. And while you're there, be sure to give us a review. Your reviews encourage us and help others find our podcast. For show notes and hot topics on what's going on right now in our real estate industry, hop on over to www.realestaterealworld.com and add your name to our email. Thanks again for listening. And go out there, be a part of the elite masterclass in raising the bar on the real estate industry.